I'm Michael Araten, and I'm the president and CEO and one of the owners here at NEX. We've been in the construction toy business and the educational business and the STEM fields. Been manufacturing since 1956, and in the toy business since 1992. So we're celebrating our 25th year this year, and we export our products to around 40 countries around the world.
Go ahead, Shannon. You can introduce yourself and ask the question.
Okay, great. So I'm Shannon Varcoe, and I'm the founder of ZYX, spelled ZYX, and it's a wooden open-ended building toy with no instruction. And I'm working with, can you hear me okay?
You're great.
Okay, great. And I am working with New Children's Museums and Science Centers to do larger exhibits of pieces for children to explore and build. And my question is unfortunately not loading, just like all my other stuff on my computer is falling apart. So,
If I recall, your question was around financing and how to.
Yeah, so it's basically, I don't know the exact words, but it's pretty much how to set up finances to know if you're going to be able to scale with both to customers, but also working with any other clients, B2B or B2C.
Sure. So I'll answer that question, and I also want to circle back to the question that was the first question of the day, which is, what problem are you solving, and are you solving it in a unique way? And so I think you want to think about that, because it sort of will go into how big your audience is. Because, for example, we have Lincoln Logs, and yours is also a wooden notched system. Is there a lot there that you can really expand on beyond what's already happening? So just think about that as you think about how much money you need to raise. But in terms of the scaling up, I like to start with the end in mind. And so it's, what is the size of the prize, is what I sort of often say. And by that I mean, in 2 years, 3 years from now, how big would you like this business to be? What kind of distribution would you like it to have? And that will inform how much you need in terms of cash flow and fundraising versus banking versus equity that you need. So it's thinking about it in those two buckets. You have the equity bucket, which is how much money can you raise in your company today, how much of it can you generate from the sales you already have, versus how much will a lender, whether a traditional lender or an alternative lender, will give you at what interest rates. So those are the things you have to answer first. What you ideally want to do, and you may be able to do this depending on the size and scope of your cost structure, is pay for the growth out of existing cash flow. So if you're doing, make it up, $10,000 in sales, and your costs are $5,000, then your next facility where you want to go next shouldn't cost you more than $2,000 or $3,000. And then that way you'll know that as you grow, you're paying for it yourself. If you can't do that, then try to keep the debt load as low as you can. So hopefully under 20% of your total amount of revenue that you're doing, so that the interest on the debt won't kill the business and won't hurt you from expanding the way you want to expand. So I think what you want to think about is, I'm in museums now, I'm making stuff in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, all good stuff. We make things in the United States as well. We get all of our wood actually from Maine. And so we get that, we love that. What's the cost structure? Am I going to stay in museums? Am I going to try to go to schools? And how am I going to build out that sales force to do that? Because that's going to be the tough part. Going school to school to school to school is doable, but it's not scalable or very difficult to scale. So, what is it that you're going to do? Is it going to be an online platform? An online platform has a certain amount of cost structure. So I think the things you want to talk to is talk to your bank now, unless you don't have one. Get a bank, open up some line of credit, and then understand what your expansion plan cash needs are. I don't know if there's a delay on the video versus the audio.
I think there is too. I don't know. But yeah, no, I definitely think that all of those are awesome points, and I really appreciate you explaining them to me. And I think it's definitely something I have to think about with the growth piece of things as well.
Great. How has growth been going so far?
I mean, I think it's. I'm sorry. Can you just repeat that one more time?
Yes. But what's the growth? Like, what's the growth trajectory that you're on now? How many locations, or how are you measuring it? Are you measuring it by sets you're selling, or by places you're in?
Yeah. So it's definitely starting to change as I'm looking at the museums, and so I'm working right now with getting my first exhibit up, and so that experience is really helping with figuring out what the cost structure, if that's going to look like as I expand it to other places, as well as what they're looking for. And that's kind of setting up the expansion for what a school set could look like, what a museum set could look like. I'm working with some camps and things like that. So it's kind of seeing at all the different sizes of sets and at what cost is something that I'm very new to starting to figure out. Originally, I was just doing sets for customers, so sets of smaller numbers. So this is definitely starting to really change the way that I think about it moving forward.
Great. Good. Can I
Thanks
answer
so much.
any more time, or are we out of time?
We do have a few more minutes. Michael, if you have anything you'd like to add, or Shannon.
So you're in the space of manufacturing, and what you've probably already experienced, and I think will become very important for you, are it was touched on in one of the earlier comments, what are the optimal order quantities for you? And you want to find out what's the easiest unit of measure. I'm guessing for you it's going to be logs and the different sizes of logs, and then how many of them you need. So working with the factory that you're working with and saying, okay, what's the most you can produce in a day, a week, etc., so that you can say, okay, if they can make 100,000 logs a week, then that's going to mean I'm going to have 1,000 sets a week. And do I need 1,000 sets a week, for example? So that'll give you a sense of what their capacity is. You need to understand your capacity constraints. The other piece, as you go into doing more of these museum sort of exhibits, is you could have a traveling museum exhibit so that it lives in it for a month and moves around. So you might only have to create 2 or 3 exhibits that are modular in nature and allow you to have a recurring income stream without having to recreate products all of the time. So I think you want to think of it in terms of income streams, in terms of museums, and sort of events. I'll call it events, retail sort of sets for schools, and see what that looks like for you. But I think the challenge will be is that it is and that's what you have to really think about, is what's your competitive advantage? What is it that makes you unique about building this way that is going to make them pick you over, there's a ton of wooden product out there. So without a brand name, without a giant marketing budget, what makes this more? And you may not want this to be anymore. You're in college, maybe you're like, this is going to be my experiment. I'm going to learn how to run a little business. I don't care if it is only in 1 or 2 towns and schools. That's okay. But if you want it to be a global business, then without solving a problem in a different kind of a way, it's going to be very challenging to build a brand around open-ended building with wooden logs.
Sure. And what do you think in terms of all those different channels? If you pick one to kind of look at first, you try to do all of them at the same time and see which one's working the best. What do you recommend?
Yeah, I like to experiment, but quickly. So I would do one at a time, but quickly. So, from sort of okay. And also, this all goes back to your cost structure. Where do you make the most money? So if you make the most money doing a museum exhibit, because they're going to pay you, make it up $10,000 a month to have a museum exhibit, then do that first and see how big you can make that. Having an online sale presence isn't expensive, right? You could have a store on Amazon Marketplace tomorrow for $30, $40 a month. So, you can easily have a web presence, get some reviews going, and see if there's a bigger market for your product line than the niche that you have found so far. So I think trying those 2, I wouldn't try more than 2 at once, because you tell me you got a lot of people that are willing to do stuff for you for free. But if it's just you or you and a couple of people, I think you can really only focus on one or two things and do them well. So I'd look at where do I make the most money? Where do I have the biggest demand? Hopefully they're the same place. If not, I'd go where the most demand is and experiment there and be willing to fail quickly and then pivot to the other channels.
Great. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it.
Sure. Great to talk to you. Good luck.